Okay, so
Hold on.
yeah,
Hey. What's up, everybody? What's up? I got a guest from Hard Talk Radio. All right. And we are going to be breaking a lot of stuff down today. So this is going to be very, very interesting. So hold on to your seats because we're going uh-oh. Hold on. Let me deal with this. All right. There we go. All right. Um, so my guest from Hard Talk Radio, the reason why I have him on here is there was a lot of information that I got that actually came directly from him and stuff that he was studying. And y'all already know my background, but y'all already know also that I give credit to whom credit is due for some of the names and stuff like that that came up with this, right? So, before we get started, let me greet everybody who board how do dog, hola, oi to the bem, vasos, bonjour, mes amis, kela bauni konnichiwa, ni hani ama, sani konani, jambo habaragani, assalamu alaikum, shalom, kamusta ka, kamusta pukayo, and kalata soy pua for my brother out in Hawaii and everything. Okay, so as we wait on people to pop in, all right, because I put the notices out, but as we wait on some of the people to pop back in. Um, hold on for a second. Let me do one other thing too. As we wait for people to pop in, get in here and stuff like that. Um, there's a lot going on, brothers. There is a lot going on with what's going on. All right, and some of the things I want to present to you right now before we get started good because we're going to wait for some of the people to go in. And this is the onslaught that is the attack on the Afro male in America. All right. And there's a reason for this. And as me and the brother was talking, and we'll get to that kind of like after we give you the background of the main thing that we're discussing, all these movies, biopics and stuff about these women warriors and things, and y'all know having retired from the military, understanding military history and things, that there's a lot of things that I'm going to be able to know and point out, especially since I've traveled places, both as a civilian and in the military. And there's some things that you learn about warfare and stuff like that. And so you see the false narrative that's coming on or that's coming up uh, is a covert attack on the Afro male in America, right? And it's attack whereby they're using the minds of the black woman to be the adversary of the Afro man. And they're trying to build her up as if she is physically strong enough and mentally strong enough that if it comes down to it, to deal with the Afro man. All right, that's what all this make believe is about. All right, so we're going to deal with again all this female warrior thing because they made a lot of movies about this in the past, and so as brothers creep in and stuff like that, we're going to talk about this and deal with it. So to everybody that's not in the, I guess the chat box, what's up? So far, there's only 5 of y'all here right now, so I guess everybody be bouncing in a little bit. So I'm gonna just say, Semper Fi, Texas Marine, what's going down? And let's see. Um, what we got going on? All right, so I'm gonna play a couple videos real quick to get us started. And there's some things I want y'all to pay attention to. All right. Hey, Daniel, what's going down, man? What's up? There's a couple of things I want you to pay attention to. All right. And I want y'all to understand that this is a symbiotic relationship that when we talk about what's going on in Hollywood, politics, and all the rest of this stuff, it all comes together for a singular purpose, and the only people that's not seeing the singular purpose is us. All right, so it would behoove us to start seeing the singular purpose in what they are trying to do. Okay, hey, Daniel Porter, I don't know if you're third. You're third in the thing. All right, so real quick, let me just do this real quick. Um, Hold on for a second. As the slow folks pop in, which really don't matter, because it's gonna be a doozy right now. All right. Now we looked at um, let's see the okay. All right.
You want custody of your kid, you need one.
Now I want y'all to pay attention to this, right? All right. All this is symbiotic. I keep telling you, our children is the target. All right. And so, how do you get at them? I keep telling you that scripturally, we say you get rid of the small. If you bind the strong man, you got the rest of the house. Period. By binding the strong man. So listen to this, and this is the lawyer. All right, and some of you might know this fella, right? But listen to this as other people pop in.
One of two things. I'm just going to tell it to you. You will never, if one of these two things does not exist, you will never get custody of your kids, ever. One of two things. There's only two. There's three. But the third one, she needs to die. I don't want to talk about it. If the mother dies, then you're good. If the mother's alive, you need her to give you the kids. Just sign the damn documents. Give me. The father can have custody, son. If she signs it, you're good. Congratulations. What if she doesn't sign it?
This is me, but I'm busy right now.
If she doesn't sign it, you better hope that you married the woman on the planet. I mean, she has to be such a mom. She better be on crack, not cocaine. Not that good cocaine. That's okay. We're not going to judge anybody using the good cocaine. The one that made the top of your stomach hurt. We ain't going to talk about the crack. She needs to be on the crack rock. She better be on meth, or she better be sexually abusing the kids. Some of y'all are like, what? I know. Y'all don't hear anything about all these women sexually abusing their kids. You don't hear about it. I find out about it. You don't find out about it. How do I find out about it? Because I get assigned to represent the kids. You don't hear about that in the media. And all these juvenile court cases where the mothers are sexually abusing the kids, they're closed. Because they're juveniles, the records are sealed. It's not public information, so you don't know. These hearings are held in darkness. These hearings are held in secrecy. I'm allowed in, and then the door is locked behind me. You cannot get in. You don't hear about the shit that I hear about, the shit that I see. She needs to be on crack rock. Or meth, or heroin. She better be on that heroin. She needs to be molesting the kids. She needs to leave the kids for like months at a time. She needs to be in and out of prison. If she's in and out of prison, congratulations. You're going to get custody. You married a woman that is in and out of prison. Congratulations. Well, what type of genes do you think your kids have? Now, your kid's 18 and stealing cars. I ain't even going to get into genetics on this. I ain't even going to take y'all down that road. Marrying women with fucked up genetics. We ain't even gonna go there. If you don't have one of those two things, a shitty ass mom, a dead mom, or a mom that's just gonna sign away the kids, you will never get custody. Ever.
All right. Now, that's the sad reality. That's one of the sad realities we face, right? And like I said, the other thing that we have to deal with is our reputation. So these are the things that are under attack. Everything that makes us a man are the things that are under attack. So we got that. Hold on. And let's go to our reputation. Let me see.
Because we are not honest in our community. And the women are the ones that benefit from the lies, and the women are the main ones forget. They pretty look. The thing about it is, Courtney talked about.
Understand what he said. The women are the ones that benefit from the lies, but she thinks she benefits from the lies. Okay? And by benefiting, they think because they get a little favor with the system that that's a benefit. But look at this winter that's coming in for them. Hold on, listen.
Reputation.
Is
The
it
black
really a
man's
winter coming
reputation
for
is in
them?
the shit, mainly because of women. Other than white supremacy, it is black women. And black women are mainly the tool that white supremacy uses, because I said before, I'm going to say it again. Your woman is your biggest character witness. And women will go all through their 20s, they don't understand shit, and let this shit happen. Niggas are getting shot and killed because black women are constantly saying what black men are doing to them. These are men that they actively choose to be around. Like niggas like, what's the dude's name that directed Black Panther? This thing, that was a Caribbean woman that did that. Like, it almost got him caught the fuck up.
So the teller said that you weren't speaking to her, and I'm just telling you what she's saying. She got, look, man, she got scared when a black dude handed her a note. You know, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what else to say. Yeah, I don't know what to say to that.
And so this idea, black men are in more danger in the in America, and black women are a big part of why that is. I mean, and I'm sorry, people don't want to have that conversation, but like black women influence a hostile climate for black men.
Stop fucking acting like women is the motherfucking.
Megan Thee Stallion is a joke. Hello? It froze. Hello? Alright. Guess he stepped out for a second.
Well, wouldn't you know it? I spoke too soon when I said there was no problem.
All right.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
man. I will say, like, with the Chris.
I spoke too soon when
Oh,
I
it's
said
okay.
there was no problem.
Yeah, I would say when showing the clip of Chris Brown, Chris Brown brought it on himself. He got busted cheating, and he handled it the wrong way.
Well, I did a video on the Chris Brown. This is what people don't understand. Before Chris Brown, and he's the one that was in a relationship with Rihanna, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is what happened. Yeah, because I had the video and stuff like that. So he was driving, and Rihanna was hitting him while he was driving. She was literally beating him up while he was driving. And so what happens is he got tired, pulled over, and then that's when all that happened, right?
Right.
Now, we weren't aware that he was beating the mess. We was aware that he hit her, but what wasn't told was how she was whooping his behind all the way up until the time he decided to defend himself. You see what I mean? And so he brought the argument on to himself. But this was a case of a BAW not knowing how to keep her hands to herself. Make the argument.
The thing is, though, I mean, when you're playing a game of cheating, man, there's always consequences, always a risk of getting caught. And when you get caught,
Yeah, but she don't have a right to put her hands on him.
Bro, these women.
Yeah, she put them hands on him. She can hit back.
They're gonna react, man. I mean, that's
yeah, they're
how it
gonna
goes,
react,
man.
and so he reacted back. See, a lot of dudes ain't taking that mess anymore. They like, all right, you call me, break up, whatever, put me on. But the dudes ain't taking them hands anymore. And bottom line, and that's it. And the other thing is that cheating stuff is all about control. You can't control no man. She trying to get a man that has options with anybody, and I'm gonna control him. No, that's never happened.
Yeah, the thing is
In,
like, look,
in the
I've been
history
a
of man,
cheater. It's like there's consequences to that, man. I mean, that's just how it is. I mean, you won't be a
yeah,
cheat.
but here's the thing: there's consequences to that, but there's consequences to when you put your hands on somebody. That's why I don't put my hand on it. Like men, we understand that there could be that there's going to, even bullies understand it. There is that one, you don't know who he is, but there's that one that ain't going to play the mess. That's why bullies particularly pick with one particular person until that person levels up. But they don't try their luck too much, right? And so that bottom line is, I'm like, I'm like Whoopi. No one should put their hands on anybody, regardless of the situation, period. You put your hands on somebody, like he was cheating, so she got mad. All right, but you shouldn't be beating nobody up in a car either while they're driving. So he would have had an accident with her in it. All right, and they take the lives of other people because he lost control of his car, and it was the red Lamborghini or the black Lamborghini. All right, who knows and stuff like that. No, we got to hold. If we're going to hold the man accountable for quote unquote cheating, then we're going to hold the woman accountable for putting her hands on a man.
Bruh, the thing is, it's like it's a dangerous game, and if you can't,
for her and him,
it's a dangerous game. If you can't, I mean, and those are just the breaks, man. I remember this part, a good part in a movie called what was it called, The Recruit, and there's a part where Colin Farrell's character, he got caught and he got tortured, and the main thing out of that lesson is do not get caught. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna play that game, you better make sure you don't get caught. Other than that's just how it is.
Yeah, people's a pros at it.
There was a Navy veteran who came home and caught his wife in a sexual act with one of his military brothers, and he shot him dead. And
Hey, did you hear about the one with the preacher that was?
Yeah, he was sleeping with another man's wife, and the preacher.
Yeah,
shot
and the school call was trying to reach her and couldn't reach her, so they called her husband from work. and he jumped out the roof naked. Yeah, but the thing is, but I mean, if you that's a yeah, that is yeah, it's a dangerous game all the way around.
Yeah, man.
It's a
I mean,
dangerous game all the way
women
around.
get killed for cheating too, man. It's a dangerous game
Mm-hmm.
for anyone playing, and that's just how it is, man. I remember
Uh-huh.
when I was cheating, I had to be hiding in the bushes, doing the things I did. I mean, but I
Bruh,
grew
come
out
on
of
now.
that, and it's just the fact of the matter. It's like, yo, it's a cheating will get you killed, man. It will get you killed.
Or we need to go back to we got to go back to our ways, is because bottom line is there's no such thing as cheating. The word we're looking for is adultery. The rest of that is control mechanism, and we
I
should be
disagree.
upfront.
There's a word cheating exists, and
The word cheating exists.
it's
Hold on,
just
let me say this.
infidelity. Either way, it's infidelity with your
No,
serious relationship or
well,
infidelity when
the,
you're married. So
um, let's break this down. Okay, the word cheating only exists because that was the framework, and it's very modern, right? Like the marriage license is 1926, very modern. All right. Before that, and before European colonization, we did things historically different. All right. If we went back to those ways of doing things where things were up and up, or the way some Africans, Indian, and other cultures do things, they don't worry about this problem. When we use the word cheating itself, all right, that is a thing that was made by them, that is a made up terminology for what we would say adultery is, right? And we turned adultery into meaning something that only people who get a piece of paper by our government, again, which is a new thing. Adultery, the word adultery existed before 1926. The marriage license came in Virginia and North Carolina in 1926. It only spread throughout the rest of the United States like by the end of the 1930s. The engagement ring came up in the 1960s. So this whole concept that we have now is way after the words we used to use for things and stuff like that. It's just that when you get with somebody, just be open about what it is that is going to be. Pimps don't really have a problem, and 304s don't really have a problem because everybody know what it is up front.
well, that pimps and 304s, they operate on a subculture level. I mean,
Yeah.
the rest of humanity, the rest of society is different. I mean, polygamy, people want to go back to that, but the thing is, polygamy was really for people of royalty, of resources, and polygamy,
Exactly.
it started civil wars, it started intrigue. A lot of wars were fought because of polygamy, because you had
Well,
different
the
kings
same
from
thing.
different women, and these women will sometimes try to plot for their sons to be on top, or their sons would have their own ambitions, and they want to
But
kill
we've
their
always had
siblings
problems with.
just to get some power. I mean, that's happened in
We've
Europe, that's
always
happens
had
in
problems.
different African continents, that's happened in different
But we have problems with this
countries.
whole thing.
You know,
Anytime we're dealing with women in relationships, because we're having just as deep problems with monogamy as you're stating with polygamy. Monogamy has never really worked. Polygamy has worked. I would argue polygamy has worked a little better, with, while even agreeing with what you're saying, because that is a stated fact, right? All
well,
right.
polygamy,
But
it depends on the individuals though, because and the
exactly,
thing is,
that's
it's
what I'm
like,
saying.
but with polygamy, there's always been wars. There have been people even online who have said that grew up in polygamous African households. Just one example, and they didn't
Uh-huh.
like it. There's been trauma with that.
But
So
but see, we say the same thing for the monogamists. All right, and we're saying that now. The biggest thing is a lot of people are walking away. Even women are walking away from monogamy because
because they want to
it's
have a lot of
been.
sex. Just like men walk away from monogamy, they want polygamy. Sometimes the basis of it is sex.
No, this ain't. Sex is not the basis though, because they're doing that anyway, right? So sex is not the basis for walking away. So a lot of women, when you listen to TikTok and stuff like that, they're talking about security mainly. Security with other sisters and stuff. It's kind of like um, the companionship with other women. And again, they're looking at women, the dudes that have the players that have multiple women, and they're looking like, how do they get along, and why is this system working for them and stuff. And I say again, like you said, it's about resources, all right, the agreement between the parties and stuff. And basically, when you look at our monogamous system, it is a burdensome thing with a legal piece of paper that's relatively new, given to you by the state, whereby the state owns you and the state owns the other woman. It was the reason. It's the reason why I left the ministry, and I said I can't marry people because I wasn't combining them to each other. Well, under the license, they belong. Each individual belong to the state. And so people start looking at this, and so people are growing past monogamy. They're trying to figure out this polygamy thing. Some are trying to figure out the monogamy thing, but what they know is what we got in the modern day is not working, which is why the marriage rate is so low as it is right now.
Well, I mean, you do have people who are getting married still. I know somebody she's getting married. There are people like offline. There are people who are still getting married, still wanting to try this out, still wanting to have families.
Right, but
I just think is that if people don't buy too much into the social media and keeping up with the Joneses and just focus on making their life work, being married, there's a chance. I mean,
I don't think so, and this is why. Back in the day, and again, the problem with marriage is the legal ramifications, and it's not a good deal for men. And every man knows this. All right, is too much risk for the little bit of reward, if there is a reward. All right, and so we all know somebody that's still doing it, but they are the minority for these reasons. And what happened is in 1969, President Reagan in California signed into law the no-fault divorce thing. All right, and so the piece of paper that meant something from 1929 all the way up to 1969. After 1969, because what happens in California just spread everywhere. Now it was like, it doesn't matter. Women could divorce a man, take half his stuff, the children, put the man on child support, which is why I put the first video up, that there's no way in hell the man is going to get to raise his seed, which statistically, a child is better off with the father if they're going to be with a single parent. Statistically, and I mean by a long shot, it isn't even close. And it's not just in the United States; it's everywhere in the world. In the Western world. So if we say the Western world, we can probably guess. But this thing was looked at in the Western world primarily. That when you look in the Western world and nations close to it, when they did the study, the child is way better off with the father than the mother if there's going to be a single parent. All right, by a long shot, it isn't even close, right? And so with our courts knowing this, why do they continue to give the child exclusively to the mother, then hit the dude up for child support, alimony, and all that stuff? It goes back to 1969 and the feminist movement, all right? And so the child used to go to the man before that, because he had the money, and the woman was free to do whatever she wanted. Nobody was paying no extra money. The woman wasn't paying no child support. He might have been giving her a little bit of alimony, but I'm not sure on that. All right, but what we do know is before 1969, the child went to the person that was making the most money, that was the most financially secure. And primarily, the child went to the man, which gave the women the freedom. And that's why, you used to hear it like on Happy Days, the divorcee, and the most free women is the divorce, because she didn't have no children. She was divorced, so that means she was on the market. And that's how that was. And this stuff that we are in now is a whole different animal to what it was before 1969, right? And with the stuff that we're in now, woman wrote a book called ah, I forget the name of the book.
All right. The thing is though, I understand the troubles and the issues that men have when it comes to marriage. Now, the thing is, not everyone's meant to be married. That's another thing too. You have women that are not meant to be. You have men that are not to be married. Now, the common theme in the MGTOW red pill space is that women are signing up more for divorce. Now, I understand, but the thing is, like, why? In our current, why? I mean, it can't be they're all cheating. Maybe there's some other factors. Did the man abandon them? Okay. Did he cheat on them? Did he abuse them? Okay. That's the thing. Do I think women cheated? Do I think women cheated? Are women married for men strictly for resources? Yes. But that's not always the case in every single case a woman files for divorce.
Right, but we know why they filed for divorce. We have the stats on that. So we covered that in nauseam on this channel. The number one reason that women get divorced is they want to do something different. All right. The women filed for divorce. Over 70% of divorces are filed by women, and it goes up to 90% if they have a degree. All right. The cheating is not one of the reasons that they file for divorce.
Cheating is not one of the reasons.
No, it's not the biggest reason for divorce. Oh, we've done this. It's not the biggest reason. The biggest reason for divorce is women just outgrow the husband. Irreconcilable differences. Irreconcilable differences is the number one reason why women file for divorce. It isn't that the husband was doing anything wrong. It isn't for adultery, and it isn't. And finances. Finances. They think they can do that.
Finances can make or break a marriage.
Right.
What I will say, but there are marriages where men and women do able to overcome that.
Well, yeah, old school. People used to overcome that all the time. That was never an issue. Old school, circa 1969. That finances, everybody put the money in the pot of the house. But now you got the women that got their money. The man's supposed to have his money. What's hers is hers, and what's his is hers. That's the mentality that we have today. And so when you look at the divorce rates and stuff like that, and you hear it all the time, what do they say? They're going to upgrade. That's the main reason for divorces. The women are going to upgrade. They want to upgrade. They like, okay, I'm tired of this. The average marriage is lasting about 5 years. All right. And so when you look at the statistics, right, infidelity don't even come up here as a reason for divorce, as a main reason for divorce. You got that, it's a minority thing, but the main reason for divorce and why you have college women that divorce at over a 90% rate is everybody's upgrading. All right, this dude was good, he got me through this, but now I want a dude that makes 6 figures, or I want the dude with the Lamborghini, or I want this type of lifestyle and stuff like that. And this is what you have.
All right, you have different avenues. What I'm trying to say is the fact that it's not all of them are cheating. All of them is different avenues, and some of them is the fact that because they have an education, they have an avenue to move out if there's abuse.
Yeah, but it's not abuse.
Well,
it's not infidelity. It's not abuse. It's simply the choice that they want to upgrade to.
So it's not a point like they no longer will tolerate unacceptable behavior as one of the reasons.
As a matter of fact,
as one of the reasons.
I'll pull up the data in a minute. And y'all
know, I'm looking right here on the website right here. I'm looking right here on the website that one of also the reasons is the fact they don't have to put up with mistreatment.
Right, but they're not the ones being mistreated. This thing is financial. When we say it's financial, brother, it is financial. It's upgrade. This is the upgrade generation. It's not about abuse. It's not about infidelity. It's simply that upgrade. I feel like I can do better. And that's the number one reason for divorce. And this is why women file for divorce. And a lot of them end up regretting it. A lot of them end up regretting it. And the fact that we're using numbers like 70%, 90%, we're not saying all. And we're saying that, yeah, there are some that will work. There are some that's probably going to be married 50 years, right? But when we look at it, all right, 90% of divorces from women who are of college and 70% of just women in general. Women file for divorce because they just don't want to be married anymore.
That's
It's a
not
better,
always the case, because I'm reading here from the Whitley law firm. Though women no longer, one of the third reasons women no longer tolerate consistent, unacceptable behavior. At a point in history, women did not work as much as today. Because of this, wives would rely more on their husbands for financial security, even at the expense of abusive and negligent behavior. Today, this is not the case as much. As a result, women are not willing to put up with consistent, unacceptable behavior from their husbands.
All right, so what is unacceptable behavior?
Unacceptable
All right,
behavior.
so we're defining unacceptable behavior by the point of view of women as men. And men know that that is BS.
But that's the
Right?
thing. All women are not coming up with the fact of, well, you
anything
yelled
they
at
don't
me
like.
in a manner when I know I was in the wrong. That's unacceptable behavior. We know not all women are going to be
Hold it, but
going to
here's the
pull that
thing.
bill. But unacceptable behavior is the fact of
So
disrespect.
are you saying that all these men are having this unacceptable behavior? All right, and let's
what I'm
look
saying
at
is
it.
there's many different reasons, and one of the reasons
Right,
is
but
not
we're
just
talking
finances,
about,
but also the fact of there could be different issues too.
hold it, we're saying
There are
that.
women who have left their husbands. Like I remember talking to one woman.
Yeah,
She
but
left her
you're
husband because
making
the
my
man
point.
didn't want to step up. He
Hold
wanted to
up.
play video
But
games all
that is
day.
the minority. That is the minority. And the thing is, why did she marry that man in the first place? But that's the minority. The majority of women that get divorced is for irreconcilable difference that they just want to level up. Not that the man wasn't handling this thing. They take half the stuff that the man got anyway. They take the children, half his income anyway. The majority, we're saying 70% without a degree, 90% with degree. There is none of that mess. That mess exists, but that's the minority. That's not in the 70 or 90%. That's the minority. All right, and that's what I'm saying. And this is stuff that we've been looking up. That's why men aren't getting married anymore. This is the trap. This is the thing that have men saying, you know what? It's not really worth it. The math ain't math. Okay, so they're looking and they're saying, look, it's just better to be single, be a bachelor, keep my money, keep my resources, and leave them on their own. They got their own money, they got their degree, let the degree keep them warm, right? And so that's what I'm saying. We're not saying that the stuff, the abuse, the other things don't happen. We're saying that that is the minority reason for the divorce after 1969. Before 1969, people stayed together for the children, this, that, and the other. Now, after 1969, the women are like, oh, I'm going to get the children. I'm going to get half the income. And you see this all the time. Now, when we talk about abuse, women statistically initiate abuse in a relationship more than men. The most hostile abuse, statistically, according to Harvard, is women in women relationships. So the women that are in relationships with women,
Yeah.
they have the most abuse in their relationships out of any other group, out of the hetero group and out of men with other men. Okay, and so when the Harvard data, it shows that 70% of the abuse is initiated by women, according to the men and the women. All right, and so basically, when we go down this, and that's because there's a thing, right, that a man is going to be held accountable for things he does and things he don't do. Right? One of the things that made me not want to be a teacher, I was a teacher at one time, and I had a kung fu school in the school that I was teaching. Right? I'm gonna just say I had to take over a class for the rest of the year. It was the automotive class because the automotive teacher ended up choking one of the students. And given the school that I was at, I had to see how it got to that, right? But the other thing that I saw is a bunch of the girls in that would go into the girls' bathroom, and they would actually SA other girls to try to turn them out, right? The basketball team in the basketball teams, the girls' basketball teams in this whole district was doing this kind of mess. There was a guy by the name of Coach Hughes, right? And at the time, he was being inducted into the Guinness Book of World Records for being the most winningest basketball coach at the time. All right, and I had to take over his class. And so one day I'm teaching the class, and the class clear out, like, what's going on? And one of the girls that would go to the bathroom said another girl was turning out another girl on the sink in the girls' bathroom. And everybody just flooded out, and I couldn't even stop the students. I had to call up to the principal. Hey, fortunately, we had a female one. Hey, this is what's going down in the girls' bathroom. Right? And so this is just what they was just getting caught this day, right? And I was like, this is crazy. And it got to the point where a lot of young brothers don't want to teach anymore. Because it's
Sad to
too
say
much.
that goes on in the WNBA.
Huh?
Sad to say that goes on in the WNBA.
Right. I mean, but it's brother, I'm going to tell you. I ain't going to say the school district. I don't know if I should, but bruh, let me tell you. Shoot. I know it goes on in the NBA because of Skylar Diggins or something like that. She reported on that. But yeah, this stuff starts at high school. This stuff starts in the high school, brother. Man, and I'm saying that they bam. And I was like, man. And then you go up and the girls would tell me, yeah, oh no, this is at all the high schools. It's at all the high schools. I was like, word, right? And it just is what it is, right? And I was like, this is just too crazy. This is just too crazy. And so I was listening to another brother that said he didn't want to teach in high schools anymore or middle schools because it was happening in the middle schools too, right? And so when we talk about what's really going on and what's happening for real, it's not happening. This violence is not happening from the men. The men are just getting credit for it, even when they don't do it, because that's just the thing. They do something, they don't want to be held accountable, so they blame the men. And then when Harvard does this study, Harvard did a study and some other people, and you find out, and then we're all surprised because we've been told so much it's us that the problem is us that we think it's us. And then Harvard does this study, we was like, oh, holy hell, what? 70% of all domestic violence is initiated by the woman. But then we look at our moms. We talk about the history of growing up with our moms a lot here on this channel, and brothers that have history. I mean, lived history. All right. So I grew up in an orphanage, right? So shoot, I know what was going on, right? I took in children from an orphanage, so I know what was going on. Not anecdotally, but I know from sitting up in court. Looking at all the people in court, I know the process in court when stuff go wrong, and I know that how easy it is to put a 15-year-old dude in jail off of a false accusation for 40 years, give him a 40-year sentence. See, I know all that firsthand. See, I know all that firsthand. And so when we talk about this stuff, we talking about stuff that I study because of the nature of the things that I've done over my life, the children that I took in, being in the system, staying in the system because I took in children from the system. And I'm telling you, the most violent and hands down, the most violent against children, the most violent and manipulative and lying against men is going to be those women because it's so easy to do. A man say, if a man try to lie on a woman, people look him upside his head. If a man said this woman abused me, people will still look him upside his head because you're a man and stuff. So when we talk about these cases, right? When we talk about these cases, in real life, right? In real life, when you go through these court things and stuff like that, you will see that it's the women that's been doing all these abuses. It's the women that's been abusive to the daughters and stuff. Now, the only time when that's different is when the mate of the woman is not the biological father. And now you got an issue.
Hold on 1 minute. Only person solo said this brother used. I don't use a woman's talking point, bro. I just know the fact that not all women, not all
And we're not saying
women
all
are divorcing due to because they were cheating whores. Many
right, and he's making a valid point. Who said that? Only
it's different. It's different reasons why women divorce men. Now, if you choose a woman that you didn't really get to check out who she was, then that's on you. Just like with who is it? Rob Kardashian getting with Black China. That was a huge red flag. And his friends told him, don't get with that woman. But he did anyway. Now you come home and you see your wife with another man and he's in your bedroom, and he's in your bathrobe. Whose fault is that? Now she wants to divorce you? Whose fault is that? And he's a high value man. So
hey, is he though?
There's different.
He's a man with money.
There's different reasons. He's a man of money, but
he's a man with money.
Yeah, he's a man of money. But the situation that you have men going through that every day, hooking up, fall in love with a stripper, or fall in love with a woman.
Oh, we tell him in the military.
He has no military. Hey,
yeah, we tell them that in the military. They go down to the strip club. We be like, no, I'm serious. In the military, as a sergeant, that was part of my safety brief, and it's called a safety brief. Think about it. The safety brief is don't go down to the club falling in love with the stripper. And we have to tell these dudes every weekend, don't go to the club falling in love with a stripper. And again, you got some 19, 20, 21-year-old.
With military men, they're targets for these women. These women look for they're targets. They won't probably put a hole in the condom, or they'll try to find a way that you are going to be having sex with them raw, and those women end up possibly getting killed. I don't know if you heard about the Fort Bragg incident. This man was messing around with a
Go ahead.
Yeah, he's messing around with a side chick, and he got her pregnant, and he ended up setting her up to get killed because he got a call from her. I'm going to go pick up the baby's things, and he drove a car right beside her and shot her. And drove back to the base. He got arrested, But like I said, there's consequences. There's things, there's choices that we make, and the type of woman you choose, it could lead to a divorce. That's it.
But what we're saying is the majority, though. We're saying yes, that stuff happens, but the majority of divorces today, and we're talking. Maybe from 2000 on to the present 2022, the majority of divorces is women just wanting to upgrade, irreconcilable difference, not abuse, and not
and they chose that man. That's
infidelity.
There's different.
But here's the thing: this is the microwave generation. You got to understand that, brother. This is the microwave generation. Yes, how many women know how to cook? You got more brothers that know how to cook than women now. Think about that.
They know how to cook, but the thing is, here's the thing.
Yeah, there's some that know how to cook. I know a few.
If you trust in a big booty and a smile,
poison.
I'm sorry. Like I said, Rob Kardashian, what'd he do? Kanye West.
And that ain't even a real booty.
The thing is though, you choosing a woman that's run by her mother. Her mother built those women up. And you decided to put your seed in that woman. All those women, their men went insane. One turned trans. And you decide to hook up with that. And you're crying now that she doesn't want to be with you. The fact, all right, you're bipolar. That is true. But the fact, you see what I'm saying here?
But that's the reason why men started, so
I understand only premium solo TV raising your voice is oppressive, but I don't care. You have to raise your voice. See, that's another thing too.
raising our voice is oppressive.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
yeah.
You can't
That
be scared to raise your voice.
Yeah.
I will raise my voice at a woman if she pisses me off with something that is completely common sense, and you can't be scared if she says you're not getting sex. You can't be scared as I'm leaving you. You can't do
If
that.
Angel's Life was so great, how did we get conquered? Oh, okay. So let's get into this.
That's
All right.
bribes.
Not only bribes, but greed. Let's break it down to greed. Okay, and so basically, it bribes and greed, but you need to be greedy to be bribed. Oh, and let's put his channel. And so his channel, this is me. Okay, his channel, this is my Cash App, my PayPal. Y'all already know the deal. Right? Make sure you take care of your family and yourself first. All right, you always take care and be a good steward over your own stuff before you donate to anybody. But if you hit the lottery and stuff like that, y'all know what I do for the community, so it'll be most appreciated, right? And whenever we get this channel over 1,000, I'm gonna start my stuff back again that I used to do back in the day. All right, so I'm getting up them watches. So, all right, and then the brother here is Hard Talk Radio, and we're talking hard.
Yeah,
all right?
Hard Talk Radio live in 4K. Hard Talk Radio live in 4K.
Okay, Hard Talk Radio live in 4K. Okay, so that's who he is. And now we're going to get into this, right? About this thing about I forget their name. The DAMA, hold on. The Dahomey. The Dahomey, Queen Nzinga, this new movie coming out, because that has everything to do with this, right? And this is the correlation I want y'all to see. All right, and so basically what you have here is the Afro man has been lied on so much as a group, where they take the minority men, whereby and so let's break this down and so that we know what we're talking about, right? So we have the minority man. All right. Hold on a second. Is this you?
Yeah, I was trying to share that.
Okay, then it's shared. Okay, I was just making. Okay. So you got the minority of men that are being chosen. So here's the breakdown. You got 54% of Afro men who do not have children and they're single. All right. And this is according to blackdemographics.org. You got 30% of Afro men who are husbands. All right. You got greater than 72% of black women who are single with a child. All right. 59% of those black women have multiple children from multiple babies' daddies. 61% of the men, and in the case of the Afro men, 71% of those who are making these babies are the minority of men coming out of prison and jail. Okay, now how do we know that they're the minority? We got roughly 18 million Afro men, and there are 800,000 men in prison, jails, halfway houses, and stuff like that are Afro men. 800,000. Those men are outproducing the rest of the 70%. Or the, hold on. So 30, the rest of the 84%. All right. So that's the dynamics you have here. So when we're trying to, so when you look at the divorce rate, okay, when you look at the divorce rate, you have to look at how minuscule the marriage rate is. So when we're talking about this and all this domestic violence, it isn't what it seems to be, especially from the man's point of view, especially when dealing with the black woman. So in this, when you have the 30% of Afro men who are husbands, 24% of black women are wives. All right. And then of that, about 2 to 4% of them have, no, 2 to 7% of them have white men as husbands, and 13% of those that are married. All right, the Afro men that are married, so 88%, 12%, 88% are married to a black woman, 12% are married to something other than a black woman, 7% of the black women are married to something other than an Afro man. Okay, so that's the breakdown on the number. So now when we look at all of this stuff that's making the news, we can now look at it as propaganda against the Afro men. Why? Because most of us can agree that what's going on here is they want the children unprotected. And one of the ways you don't protect your children is by having the TV raise them. All right, by having this image, this false image that's going to get them hurt of women that think that they can physically whoop a man. Okay, hey, can you explain what you got up here right here?
I would tell that woman, I am not getting sex from you, but that does not stop me from getting sex as I chauffeur her towards the door. He escorts her to the door. That's it.
This thing that we got up here from the Whitney law firm.
Oh, that was talking about the 3 reasons why women divorce.
Oh, okay. So we already shared this. Okay, and so, okay, that's according to Whitney law firm. And so I had my data came from the courts in family and children and family services. Okay, so that we got that. Okay, so the number one reason, though, hands down, is irreconcilable differences. The women just want to move on and do something different. All right, and
I'll agree to disagree. Some of these women, they're gold diggers. Some of these women,
no, we're saying that's the number one reason. That's not the only reason. You can't agree to disagree with that because that's the stated statistic. The number one reason that women divorce today is irreconcilable differences. We're not saying that's the number one reason, and that's the majority reason as to why they divorce. It isn't saying that they don't divorce for adultery or abuse, right? It says that that is the number one reason. Adultery and abuse is a far away second and third. So that's not in debate. That's the main reason that women divorce, and that's why women with a degree divorce at a higher rate than women without a degree. Because they're like, hey, I can upgrade. You know, I can upgrade. I got a degree, so I had a blue collar man. Now I want a college man, a man that graduated college. So they didn't get their degree. They leave the blue collar man alone to go get with a college man. That's
you heard
basically
about that woman that did that. Like she was with a blue collar man, but then she left him. And then started her dating services, but now she's serving time for fraud. Did you hear about that?
No. Speak more on that.
Yeah, I forgot her name. Shoot, I forgot her name, but she's now serving time. I think O'Shea Duke Jackson did a video on her.
Oh,
She's
wow.
facing
Okay.
time. because she thought she was doing fraud. But she left a blue collar worker to start a dating service to try to get. She was trying to get a level up.
Right.
And she, yeah.
And that's most of the divorces right there, where women leave. And then that also speaks to our simp culture. And this is what I call simp culture, where dudes go after married women or go after women with relationships with other men, telling them, oh, you need to upgrade, you need to drop him because he a blue collar worker and stuff like that. We made being a hard worker a bad thing in our community. Really. And that's part of the problem as well. Hold on. So that's part of the problem as well. But the purpose of this is we got to watch out for these narratives. And basically, all this narratives are being done to take accountability away from what the women are doing, even when the brothers aren't doing that. Because again, you have more men that are responsible. They have women that are responsible. In that 72% of women are single mothers, 59% of those have multiple children from multiple men. And the men that they chose to have all those children by was dudes that come out of prison and jail, statistically speaking. Right? And so when you have the majority of men that don't have children at all, you got to wonder, how did we get into this where everything that's happening is the men's fault? And that's when we get into what the stuff that Hollywood is pulling out, that men are so weak that women can fight their own battles. And we was talking about the movie
Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters is like that. Thor.
Did you see the new
Thor,
Ghostbusters with the children?
The new one? Nah, I heard about the one with Chris Helmsworth.
The one with the females was sucked, but the one after that with the children, they did it justice. It seemed like they learned from that crap and they even had a little girl as the lead. All right, and nobody cared because of how they did it. You know, and we've always appreciated women characters. Wonder Woman would not have done well. All the movies with Scarlett Johansson in it. You see what I'm saying? We've always, the woman Resident Evil, Lycan, the one with the Lycans. We've always had strong female characters.
Underworld,
yeah. Yeah, we've always had strong female characters that men weren't threatened by them.
Right, just because they followed a formula. Like, okay, the reason why Star Wars failed was because they tried to make her this ultimate warrior in like one movie. When in Skywalker, the regular Star Wars, he had to grow into that.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why men are not seeing these movies anymore. Huh?
And look who was running it. And so right now, Black Panther. I was talking to someone today, and I had like 10,000 comic books. I was an avid Black Panther fan. Over the years, I had read all my comic books. That's how I got my vocabulary. All right, reading Marvel comics. But I had DC ones. I had Emerald Knight. I had the one where Batman got his back broke. With Azrael taking up the mantle and stuff. I had that whole series. The Dark Knight. I had the trade paperback, Batman versus Superman. I had all that stuff, worth a lot of money, right? And so this is what I could tell you about the Black Panther. Black Panther beat the Fantastic Four. Black Panther was able to sneak in on the Avengers. I have the Black Panther from Marvel Knights where they explore Wakanda and stuff like that, right? And he never had the Dora Milaje, right? The Dora Milaje came as a result of, okay, let me remove this. And I'm going to put something else out. The Dora Milaje, no, not that. How do I do this? The Dora Milaje, okay, they were written in by Ta-Nehisi Coates, and that's why I can't stand him. All right, and so basically, hey, you have to mute You have to mute your thing. It's you, because I can see your thing blink on as I talk. That's where the echo is coming from. Yeah, you got to mute your sound.
All right, mute screen radio. All right, how's that?
Yeah, I can hear you, but not me now.
Mute sound.
Okay, cool. All right, so. Okay, now I hear me again. But anyway, so he wrote that in. Hey, can y'all hear that echo out there? Let's see if I got this in. Yeah, I'm still echoing.
Okay, what
Okay.
about now? You can hear me clearly? No echo?
I can hear you, but now when I speak, I can hear feedback from me. But it won't matter if nobody else hears it but me.
Okay, all right.
So let me
So
see
you
if
saying
anybody
about-
else hear it.
Yeah. So the dilemma Malaja, they came I believe they used that from the Dahomey.
Right, they used it from the Dahomey. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, and so I knew them as the Amazons. All right, but I didn't know them by the name Dahomey. Okay, and so yeah, so now I was familiar when the Dora Milaje came in, and Ta-Nehisi Coates put it in when he became the writer of Black Panther, and that's when Black Panther started being nerfed, right? And so a lot of us that followed this had a problem with it. All right, so we'll get back to this in a minute. And so in the movie, we had a serious problem with this scene right here. And you can see how you can see the inspiration of the Dora Milaje from the Dahomey tribe. You can see it in their uniform, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when he did this, right, it was like, okay, all right, well, we'll tolerate it. All right, then the movies came out when Civil War. All right, and when Civil War came out, we was like, oh man, Black Panther, man, they made, okay, he a bad mofo. All right, but then his movie came out, and then this scene at the end, this is all Hollywood. And this is their idea of where they want the Afro man, under subjection of the black woman, and they want the black woman to believe that they could physically beat a group of Afro men by themselves. You see what I mean? And in this movie, they had the Afro man kneeling down to the black woman, and because that's what they want here. And why do they want it? Because if you take over the mind of the man in this manner, if you take the mind of the man in this manner, you can take control of the children because they will not be without a protector. The man is the physically stronger one. He's supposed to be the most mentally sober-minded, right? The most logical. All right, the one that's thinking about battle from outside sources, the protector. All right, and when you have, and that's why I wanted to get into the Dahomey tribe as much too, and Queen Nzinga. When you trust in this, they always lose to the people that want you to bow down to them. And so that's what we're going to talk about. These women here was based on this tribe that really didn't have much luck fighting the French. They killed a lot of people, but they lost battles and the war. But this is how they got their start. So go ahead, tell us how they got their start, brother.
Well, they got their start. I don't remember. It's a lot. I didn't. It's a brief article I read about them. Basically, they were a small tribe, And they got their start when I just said about the third king. When the third king came on the scene, that is when they started expanding. Okay, and they got into slave trading, and how they got clients with the Europeans, the Dutch, and so forth. The British put pressure on the king at that time to stop the slave trade, and he fought to keep the slave trade. And that is something I always thought about when I did a video on it. Is like Viola Davis and all these people put in Hollywood, so they're basically propping up women who were for slavery. That's what was going through my mind. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, and it turns out the people who are creating this movie, Woman King, one is black, one is white, and the way they look, I don't want to. I hate to judge
LGBT.
They're LGBT. I'm like, okay, these are lesbians. I know why it's like this now. Woman King, yeah. Now I get it. If it was about historical accuracy, it would have been Dahomey. Okay? And the real reason why they were formed. It was just basically, at that time, it was either you're going to be a slave or you're going to be a conqueror. And that was it.
And here's the thing. You made the point. What was the point you made? And I tried to save it too.
The fact that most countries in those days, like
you was making this part about
human sacrifice is part of.
No, you was making the part about Hollywood.
Hollywood.
Why would? Yeah, like why would they knowingly
put two gay directors to make a movie and put it to be pro-slavery?
Right. And you said something else. Hold on. Let me give me a moment to think. So they put this movie together. All right. It's about slavery, and it's about how women fought to maintain slavery. And you mean to tell me that nobody in Hollywood thought that somebody wasn't going to go look them up?
They think this is how they think of black people. You gotta understand, Hollywood appeals to the left. And if you know, every actor that gets into Hollywood, they have to talk like a puppet. They have to talk like a robot. They have to agree with abortion. They have to agree with LGBT. They have to agree with the left grooming kids. They have to agree with it in order to fit in order to get roles. And with black people, unfortunately, you have to practically put up with a lot to get a role. Putting on dresses, all this stuff. But because they're going for a different demographic. And that demographic is liberal, feminist, black women, preferably low-income, black single mothers.
And they're targeting them.
Money.
They're targeting them to get rid of the protection that the man would give in a home. Because if the man ain't there to protect because she's a single mother being run through by some dude on his way to prison. I mean, and when we look at the children, they outproduce dudes that was trying to be married. And so here we go. And here's the things, Encyclopedia Britannica. For those that, can you see that?
Yeah, give me a minute. I'm recording. Getting the next one. Okay.
Okay, so this is the Encyclopedia Britannica. And you said the third king, so he ruled. So that's why the 1726, the one that ruled from 1726 to 1728. No, 1730. Okay. Agijah and his man retreated. Okay, so that's when they go and start forming and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He also gave up his opposition to slave trade
on a royal monopoly. That was making his country flourish because they were into the slave trade, and he didn't want to give that up.
Exactly. And so they had the so Emily Darling Zinzel. All right, died in 18. Okay, so that's Okay. Was the first to invade, defeating Aja forces. All right. And so let's look at this other source right here. Because so there was some things that hold on, let me go here. Let me go back some. Okay, and I wanted to talk about this, right? How the documentary saw her as overly masculine, inciting fear among the people. They had 6,000 women by the mid 19th century. All right. And most of these women were either inscripted or they became slaves. I will leave the links that I have up in the description box. But where did I put that at? Here it is. This part right here. This was inspired by true events, which means that it will not function like a documentary or a story that sticks strictly to the facts. As a matter of fact, this means that it will function like propaganda against the Afro men.
Pretty
by
much.
filling the women's head with the thing that, oh, at one time we were so strong that we beat men.
That's
And
exactly what's going to be filled in their heads, and they're going to be filling their heads up with pride, and I could be the man, and I could be the head of household, and they're going to be telling that poison to their daughters. It's sad, but that is the main agenda. I mean, Woman King. That's what the title of it's going.
And I was telling him, like, straight out the bat, Woman King. No other group of women on earth will allow somebody to give them the name of their man, King. They be like, okay, call me the Woman Queen, Queen Elizabeth, Queen Victoria, Mary Queen of Scots, Queen Gwendolyn.
Mm-hmm.
But don't call me a damn king because I'm a female, you know?
Yeah, it looks like a hermaphrodite.
Yeah. And it's only black women that embraces this from Hollywood. And trust me, this is Hollywood because these women were under a king.
Yeah, they were. They were all under a king. They were all claiming to be virgins under the king. And but the thing is that Hollywood is always going to skew it because they have to have an agenda towards it. You know, they're going to skew it to a point that, you know, the man, like with Ghostbusters, with the guy who played Thor, Chris Hemsworth, he was the male bimbo, and the women were the ones that were in the man's place.
Yeah.
That's the dynamic they want to push on and they wonder why men don't want to see movies anymore, and they forget that men are the bottom line of their audience. And then when the movie failed, they want to say it's sexism, it's patriarchy. No, you're trying to force crap down people's throat that they don't want. That's why I stopped watching movies.
But here's the thing, let's give them that. It is sexism on their part, and it's about the patriarchy in that the men are patriarchal. We understand that we're the protectors. And so we're tired of the garbage. And so we're falling into our roles as protectors because we now realize that you're really after our children, which is why you want to get rid of us, is because you could subdue the women. Right? And so basically, this is another thing of them. Right? And so understand, these aren't women that was fighting men with swords and stuff because they would summarily lose. They had guns as well as everything that they got from who was the main people trading with them at the time?
It was the
I'm
Dutch.
thinking it was the Portuguese.
Portuguese, Dutch, yeah. Portuguese.
Hold
Dutch.
on. What area were they in? South America? Were they in South Africa?
It was West Africa. It was West Africa.
That's going to be the Portuguese. The Dutch would be in the southern part around these times. Okay, so there, that's going to be. And here's the crazy part, right? So y'all know I do capoeira. right? And y'all know, and I didn't pay attention to this. So the type of capoeira I do is, well, I do both, right? But and they're different. But we got two types of capoeira. We got Angola and Luanda, right? So when I was doing research on Queen Nzinga, all right, first of all, she was sleeping with the Portuguese and probably the Dutch as well. All right. But when I was looking at Queen Nzinga, and I was like, okay, yeah, okay, I could see it now. And the reason why this would be significant when we talk about these women queens is because everybody ran over them. These women, Dahomey, they lost all their battles. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the French had their way with them, right? They
No, the
lost some
French was
men.
killing. The French was annihilating them. The French even they did lose eventually, but they were holding their own against the French. And the French even complimented how they had this ferocity and this tenacity when fighting them. So the French gave them their respect. They did eventually
Right.
lose because with the manpower
Yeah, they
and
just
stuff like
lost. They're
that.
fighting men.
Yeah, I mean the thing is like if a woman is built right, depending on her stature and her muscle frame, a woman can beat a man. Can every woman beat a man? No.
No.
But there are types of women that
That can't be the man, like
Right.
China.
Yeah. Like China. Yeah, the China.
And I was while in the army, I was like, I don't want no woman in the foxhole with me. None. Unless it's China.
Yeah, it's exception. There are exceptions to the rule.
There are exceptions to the rule, and then there is the rule.
Right.
And so in comics, the Black Panther is so powerful that he wielded the Infinity Gauntlet without a problem. You see what I'm saying? But in Hollywood, they're not going to have a brother like that. In China, they had to keep the mask on so that they wouldn't know he was an Afro man,
Oh yeah, the Chinese are very racist.
right? And so this is the nature. And the Chinese are racist because of Hollywood. Hollywood programmed them to be that way. Hollywood programmed the world. But here's the difference. A lot of brothers like me, I'm in Colombia right now. And we start traveling, and some of y'all know where I go to, right? And I go into the communities and do things, and so it changes the image. It changes the images that people have of Afro men, right? Because, well, they see me there, they see what I'm doing, they see I'm not afraid of them. And they see that I'm not afraid of them is because I see them as a brother. I see them as sisters. It's like, oh, damn, this American see me as a brother and a sister? You know what I mean? That goes a long way. Now, what the white people have to say about me don't hold any water. All right? It doesn't hold any water at all. And so, like, when we go back to, so let's go back to this here. Okay? So they went through training, right? And so they had two battles with the French, lost them both. All right. And they did human sacrifices. Oh, that's what I wanted to get into. The human sacrifice thing. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And some of y'all remember the video that I did when I was doing geology and geography, and we was talking about the Aztecs. All right, and which is the point I was making to you before we started this. That and oh man, and so the Aztecs had a good point about something.
They tried to bring that back in some schools. They tried to bring that back. They tried to bring Aztec worship and praying to Aztec gods in school, but they shut it down.
I didn't know anything about that. I didn't know they tried to do that.
Yeah.
All right, but here's the thing. So when Emilio Cortez went into the Aztecs, okay, remember Francisco Pizarro went in and destroyed the Incas. All right, Cortez, he went into the Aztecs, and what happened was they tried to give the Aztecs Christianity, right? And they tried to tell them, and this is ironic. They tried to tell the Aztecs, well, you do human sacrifices. All right. And so they taught them the communion. All right. Remember, I grew up in a Catholic institution. So I was an altar boy at one point. Not one of the ones that the priest was after because I was in a Catholic institution. So I had that protection. But I just had the drunk priest, not the other ones. Right. But, bro, that wine, that dude stayed drinking. He had 3 masses a day. So he stayed drinking wine. Right. But anyway, with that said, in that you eat the body of Christ and drink his blood. And the Aztecs was like, well, you have that in your ceremony. Communion. All right. Understand that how Paul switched to communion for the Passover. Paul came up with communion, and communion came up with the goddess Mithra, with which the Romans were doing underneath the church, and that's how that stuff got into the church. But if you're going to follow like the Gospels, there was no communion; there was a Passover. All right, but in any case, with the Aztecs brought this out to Cortez. He's like, you want us to get rid of our human sacrifice, but you sacrifice a human every Sunday. Every time you have this mass. And I said, and they're like, so what's the difference? Right? And so they're like, well, you killed a human being, but they said you killed your God. How do you argue with that?
You can, because what they do is either they kill people from prisoners of war, or they get somebody with among the tribe to go kill somebody, and that is not, if they look into the Bible, they'll see that the Christian God is against that. So there's that.
But you see, here's the thing. And so when you look in Isaiah and when you look in the Bible, the Christian God is against human sacrifices, period. That was the whole story, the whole purpose of the story of Abraham when he was taking Isaac up. The Most High was trying to prove to him that he still had them tendencies to do human sacrifices like his father, and he wanted them gone.
I think that was a test. I don't think that was Abraham trying to show, God trying to show Abraham, you still got those human sacrifices.
No, that was a test. It is a test.
It was a test, but not about that. It was a test to see how far his obedience. That was a test.
No, it wasn't about obedience.
It was. It was said, because at the end of it says that you would give up your only son for me.
Right, but here's the thing.
And that was basically.
So you're reading.
That was the test his dedication.
No.
We'll have to agree to disagree on that.
Okay.
Because,
I'm about to give you the data. Okay. So basically, in Scripture, it is an abomination to God for somebody to sacrifice their son. Okay, it's an abomination. Human sacrifices and sacrifices of children is an abomination. All right. Now, when we look at Enoch, Jasher, and put it together with what is in the New Testament, and the reason why
I don't go with the book of Enoch because they have a lot of inaccuracies and stuff.
No, the whole Bible is full of inaccuracies. So we got to. So understand the makeup. So the Bible. Let's look at this. The Bible is called the canon. The canon was put together.
All right, for this,
I'm going to get you the historical thing of the Bible.
Well, for me, I go with what
I
would go
what's
in that Bible, the book of Enoch. That's like,
All right, but let me say this. What I'm talking about the historically makeup of what we call the Bible. Okay, so this is what we have. All right, the Bible is a collection of books that in 336 AD, the bishops at the Council of Nicaea decided to put together and have this canon. All right, now in this, and even in the Catholic Bible, there are 14 more books. In the Ethiopian Bible, which is the most inclusive Bible of all the stuff that was in the old things, you have the book of Enoch, you have the book of Jasher, you have the Apocrypha that's in there. Now, the issue comes when you get to the King James, pre 1611 and 1611 and beyond. 1611, all right, still contains, they don't contain Enoch, Jasher, and other things that the Ethiopian Bible have, which still is the most complete. All right. And so they took a lot out, but they left the Apocrypha in, which is 14 more books. And then after the 1700s, until you get into the modern era, those 14 books are taken out, have been taken out, to which you have now. Now, in 1611, the best translations that they could get from the Masoretic text was translated with no J's, because the J's was not invented until 1560. All right. The English bought the French invented the J, the English bought the J, and they didn't start making J's in their Bibles until after 1611. And so when you look in 1611, there's no J's. If you look in the 1700s, you have the J's, right?
I don't really, like, for me, like
this
I said,
isn't for you, but this is for everybody. Okay, so
like for me, like I mean,
so this is for everybody in the chat. This is the history. This is the true history. That if you go to seminary, if you go to the catechisms and stuff like that, this is how we get to where we are right now with the books that we have that we canonized. And we didn't canonize them, the Catholics did in 336 AD. Christianity became a thing in, well, actually 312 AD, but 313 AD, when Constantine beat Maxentian at the Novian Pass. Okay? And so you have the Council of Nicaea, the Council of Laodicea, where they made other changes and included other pagan things within the whole.
well, you understand, Constantine wasn't a Christian, right?
Constantine coined the phrase. Now, here's the thing. Christianity did not begin as a religion that people are practicing today officially till Constantine in 313 AD when he coined the phrase, but then in 336 AD when it became an official, this is it, Christianity, the religion. The stuff that we have with the church and stuff. And so if you look further,
But you know that guy like persecuted and crushed anyone who didn't want to join the Catholic Church, who didn't believe the way.
right, that's how Christianity was formed. Christianity is practiced by violence, because of violence.
That's not Christianity. Christianity isn't
That
practiced by
is
violence.
Christianity,
It's
which
not,
you call-
because the fact is you can't.
No,
it says
no,
love
no,
your
no.
enemies, not
Historically-
kill your enemies.
Hold it. Historically, everyone that's a Christian is a Christian behind violence of the Europeans that went and made people Christians.
In order to do those things those people did, you had to violate Christ's teachings.
Here's the thing.
The Crusades. You
no,
had to
no.
violate
Here's
Christ's
the
teachings.
thing.
You have to kill. You have to go and kill your enemies, which is completely against the teachings of Christ.
No, that's so here's the thing. When we get into this, we're talking about history.
History,
right, we're not
history
talking
is
about
showing
killing.
the fact of
No.
these
Hold
people
on.
were
Wait,
in error, and they killed people to try to force Christianity on people. That's not how you do things.
Hold
That's
on.
not how, that is.
Hold
that
on.
is-
No.
They just used the Bible for a way to get power.
They
That's it,
created
from
the
over
Bible.
people.
They created the very Bible you use. That's what I'm telling you.
But they
I'm telling
put
you
it
straight
together,
facts.
but at the same time, you're doing things that are against the teachings of Christ. You can't say
Well, hold on,
you're
wait
a
a minute.
Christian, but you go and put a gun to someone's head and say, "Be a Christian, or I'll blow your brains out."
Well,
You
that's
can't do
because,
that.
hold on, let me say this. Everything that you believe in the New Testament is stuff that they came up with. The New Testament was written by Titus Flavian, Vespasian Flavian, and I forgot the third one because I forget his name. Okay, they wrote the New Testament. The objective of the New Testament was to get the real Hebrews from to move them away from following the commandments. And the problem that they had was
I don't
we're
agree
talking.
with that.
I don't care whether you agree or disagree. We're talking history. So this is what
History
happened.
you have to understand that these people were
No,
corrupt,
you
and they
have
did
to
this.
understand.
I'm
Look,
understanding the
brother,
history, but the fact that what you're not understanding is
But,
you're trying
brother,
to say that this is Christianity when it's not. One
Hold
says
on.
love
I'm
your
telling
enemies.
you that
The other one
stuff
says we're
is
gonna
what people
we're
make
gonna
it.
go and kill people in the Middle
brother,
East,
brother.
and we will
And with
have
all due respect,
blessings because
with all
you're
due
going to be
respect,
absolved of your sins for butchering people in the Middle East and rounding up
hold
Jews
it.
and burning them in
With all
synagogues.
due respect, I'm giving people the history here. As someone who's been through seminary, as somebody who used to be a pastor, as someone who's read all these things, as someone who most of the people on my channel know that I own these books that we're talking about, to include the Ethiopian Bible, Jasher and stuff, and most of them have it too, because some of them I have through PDF that I've got given to them. All right, I own some Hebrew texts. All right, and I own copies of the Dead Sea Scrolls. I own copies of the 1611 King James.
That
Now,
doesn't, you could
hold
own
it,
them, but that doesn't mean you're
listen,
not
hold it,
really,
listen. If you could stop for a minute, because you're being disrespectful on my channel, and I would not do this on your channel, especially when you're trying to give some history. All right, which is why I referred to you when history was being given. Now I'm giving history. I'm not giving your religion. And the history said that the Europeans that spread Christianity everywhere did it through the sword or the gun. Most people that are Christians in anything but the white world, and even in the white world, if we want to talk about the Spanish Inquisition, became that way through bloodshed, through fear
that's
of death.
bloodshed was the fact that we have to do it. It's basically just
hold it,
using an excuse. But you're telling me this, but I'm trying to rebut and trying to tell you.
Hold it. The people's actions and what it is, right?
It
and
is
so
what
you
it
can
is,
say,
but at the
well,
same
you're
time,
not
those
supposed to do
actions
this.
were not.
But the people that
It's
taught
history, but what
Christianity,
you're trying to say is like that's Christianity when it's not.
it is Christianity.
How
Because
could
the
it be
people that
Christianity
made
going
you a
against the
Christian,
teachings
that's
of
what they
Christ?
did to get you that.
You're going against the teachings of Christ. It's not
Okay.
Christianity.
Okay, so is Jesus Christ God?
According to the Bible, yes.
No, he's not. According to the Bible, he's not. There is only one God.
That God is Jesus if you're talking
No,
about
he's not.
Christianity.
No, it clearly states that only God can save. Only Yah saves. It's in Isaiah, the 45th chapter. Only he can forgive. Only he saves. It is an abomination so if it's an abomination to sacrifice a child, right? And the Most High says in Isaiah, the 45th chapter, and if you read 42 through 45, only he can save. This has been our problem. Only he saves. All right? There is only one him. The first commandment, I'm Jehovah, which brought you out of the land of misfreighter, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other mighty ones before my face. All right? Y'all, you shouldn't create any images in the heavens above, in the earth, or in the waters under the earth and bow down to them. All right? All right, these are commandments that he gave us. All right? And so some Romans, 3 of them, go and write a New Testament. That's who wrote the New Testament. Titus Flavian and Vespasian Flavian, basically Titus Flavian. All right. And so if you go and actually follow anything in the commandments, you will know that stuff is out of order. Now, I'm not even talking about that. All right. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about the history of how stuff got put in or was taken out of what we now call the canon. And I'm the authority of everybody on this, on that. All right. And this is without debate. All right. And these are some facts that many people know already because we pointed them out. And if we could pull up eastwards again, and we pulled them out. And so basically, all right, when we talk about Christianity, that's what it is. It is the religion of death where if you pray to the white people's theology, then magically you don't have to be accountable for any of the commandments you break. All right. Even in Timothy, it tells you that sin is when you break a commandment. Even though under duress while the Hebrews was
So with
writing this thing under Titus Flavius, they was putting stuff in there to let you know. Even John on Patmos was trying to tell you what was really going on.
Okay,
But
so the thing is, when you're saying about Jesus not God, and it says it in the Old Testament, the scriptures here, like Isaiah chapter 7, verse 14, therefore the Lord himself will give you a sign. Behold, a virgin will be with child and bear a son, and she will call his name Emmanuel. Isaiah chapter 9, verses 6 to 7, for a child will be born to us, a son will be given to us, and the government will rest on his shoulders, and his name will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Eternal
okay, and
Father,
so
Prince of
basically, so you got to
Peace.
pick. You got to pick. You got to pick those out of context and stuff like that, or you got to pick in Exodus 20, the first thing where the Most High is speaking these words, not no other man. He says, "I'm Yehovah, your Elohim, who brought you out of the land of Mizraim, out of the house of slavery. You have no other mighty ones." That means that would be a Jesus, a king, or whatever before my face. You do not make yourself carved images or any likeness of that which is in the heavens above, which is in the earth beneath, which is in the waters under the earth. You do not bow down to them, for I, Yehovah, your Elohim, am a jealous I visit the crookedness of the fathers on the children and the third and the fourth generations, right? Now, then we go to Isaiah. Where the Most High in 45, if we read, and I'll do better than that. I'll just put it up here.
So
The
when they're talking
Lord
about
in
John, like
Isaiah
in the
45
beginning was the
states
Word,
that He
and
is
Word
the
was
only one
God, and
that
not a
says
thing was
it.
made
And
without
so
him. Who are they
the
talking
Most
about?
High,
Because Jesus is known as the Word of God.
Jesus is known as the Word in the New Testament that was written by the Flavians, but not in
And this
and
told you a
not from
scripture
out
that
of the Most
describes him
High's
in the
mouth.
Old Testament.
Hold it, not from out of the Most High's mouth. The Most High
It's
says
Isaiah,
He
one of
is
his
the only
prophets.
one
The
that
prophets are
saves.
speaking from the mouth of God.
So you got to
This
take your pick then.
the
Me,
thing
I'm
is,
gonna
like,
go with,
it says
and
that,
I'm gonna
it's
go.
the same.
Like,
It's showing you the
it's not
prophecies
the
right
same.
here.
Hold on, wait.
Who he is? I mean,
Okay, it don't say. I know who He is because I know who created Him. But this is what the Word says. This is what. All right,
it says,
and
in the
so here's the
beginning
thing.
was the
Let me say.
Word. The
Let me
Word
give you
was
something
God,
about the New
and the
Testament.
Word is
In
God, and
hold it,
nothing
hold
was
it,
made
hold it.
without
In
him.
the New Testament.
And it says
In the
in
New Testament.
in the Hebrews, the
Hold
Lord
it,
said to
hold it,
my
bruh.
Lord,
Hold it,
I
bruh,
mean,
because you're being
so
ignorant right now. Over
I'm not being
and one
ignorant.
of
I'm just showing you the. It's just I'm stating scriptures right now. It's just you can't tell me
hold
it's
on,
like
hold on,
okay,
wait,
it's not
wait.
God, but the scriptures say He is.
Okay, so, and this is my problem. So this is what Isaiah 45 say, and this is my problem with the soft-minded that you know, and And so, yeah, he wasn't going to let me talk. But so y'all know I have this information. So let's get into it. Let's get into it. Let him be gone. In Isaiah 45, first of all, the Romans created the New Testament at the Council of Nicaea. All right. So, and they created it because they had a problem. There were two messiahs running around at the time, one in Jerusalem and one in Egypt. And they were not the peaceful turn your cheek people, which is why they needed to make a turn your cheek person. Period. All right. So let's get this. Yeah, it should be called the Testament, right? So let's just get this. So the Most High, and even in the New Testament, if you go to Revelation, the church that sits on the seven hills is the Vatican. It's telling you that it's an apostate church. It created things and it turned us away from Scripture. Scripture is nowhere but in the commandments, period. All right. So that's where the Scripture is. It's in the commandments. All right. And I am so sorry that a lot of people left behind that mess. Right. So the Scripture is in the commandment. All right. And so in the commandments, and all right, let's make a pointer. When we look in the New Testament, we're going to go by the commandments and stuff. We're going by the commandment that we get from the Most High and the prophets of the Most High. There is no prophets of the Most High in the New Testament. Let me repeat that. There is no prophets of the Most High in the New Testament. The only people that's writing in the New Testament are men, regular men that don't represent the Most High. Period. And you will notice that none of the men writing in the New Testament are saying that the witness of all of these things represents the Most High. And then you take the Gospels, which say this about Christ, but then you take Paul's books, his letter. They ain't even books, they're letters. So Paul writes 14 letters, only 7 of them are attributed to Paul. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, which one do you think is the oldest? Which one do you think is the oldest gospel? Quote unquote, Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John? If you think it's Matthew's because it is first, you're wrong. Mark is the oldest gospel, and it's 150 to 200 years after the said event. So I want y'all to let that, it was written 100 to 200 years after this quote unquote said event. Matthew and Luke are called Q documents. That's because no one knows who wrote them. Meaning that a name for an author was not given to them. So no one named Matthew wrote Matthew. No one named Mark wrote Mark. No one named Luke wrote Luke. And no one whose name John wrote the Gospel of John. These were just names that was given to these books. All right. So Saul wrote these letters, but only 7 of the 14 were attributed to him. This is the makeup of the New Testament, y'all. All right. None of the people that's writing this stuff are writing in representation of the Most High or his prophets. Let me repeat that. None of the people, none of the writings in the New Testament is said to represent the Most High or his prophets. Let that sink in. The Most High is not mentioned at all in the New Testament. Many of the customs that Christians follow are not in the New Testament and are banned in the commandments, like Christmas, for instance. All right. So now let's get into something else. The communion. The communion. Let's look at the communion. Because y'all know I know all about that. The communion is not something that the Most High would want represented, because we are not supposed to One of the commandments, we're not supposed to drink blood or eat raw meat, right? So we're not supposed to be cannibalistic in Scripture, period. So let's break that down. All right, where did they get that from? Well, the communion comes from the god Mithras. So if you're taking communion, you know, getting the cracker and the grape juice, you're worshiping the bull god Mithras from the religion Mithraeum. Period. That's where that comes from. But that is deeply ingrained in these Christian religions. Period. That is deeply ingrained in these Christian religions. All right. And so the thing is, I am not going to have an argument with somebody in their feelings over what I know to be historical facts. And one being that no Hebrew wrote the New Testament. Remember, the New Testament was written in Greek, not Aramaic, not Hebrew. Think about that for a minute. New Testament was written in Greek, not Aramaic, not Hebrew. All right. All right. And so this is what we have, right? So now let's look at this. All right. So when I say, as for me and my house, I'm going to follow the commandments. All right. And let's start at verse number 1. Thus says Yahweh, labor of Mizraim and the merchandise of Cush and the Selenites, men of size, come over to you and they are yours. Walk behind you. They come over in chains. They bow down to you. They make supplication to you, saying, indeed, it is in you, and there is none else, no mighty one. So they're saying this about the Most High. Truly, you are El, who hides yourself, O Elohim of Israel's Savior. All right. They shall put to shame and even humiliate all of them. The makers of idols shall go away in humiliations. All right. Now, you got a lot of people running around wearing these crosses on their necks. Okay. Israel shall be saved by Yahweh with everlasting deliverance. You are not to be ashamed nor hurt forever. Let me because this is very clear. The intent all right. Okay. So the intent of a lot of these people. So let's get this up here real quick. All right. So Israel shall be saved. And who shall save us? Yahweh. Plain as day. Now, let's be specific. He didn't say his son Jesus because he wouldn't have no son. The Most High would not make a son and then call him God. Why? Because, and this is why, and let me say this, Christians don't like the book of Enoch because it makes them a liar. So it gets back into Hosea that my people perish for lack of knowledge because they reject it. So he don't lack the knowledge. He rejected the part that's going to get inside his feelings and cause him to change, because he don't want to change and follow in the ways of the Most High. He want to follow into what the Caucasians gave him. His mama gave him, his mom and them. And so the Jehovah we're talking about, is the creator of the heavens. He is Elohim. Former of earth, is maker, established, and he did not create it to be empty. Understand, he did not create it to be empty. He formed it to be inhabited. There is none else. There's no Jesus. There is none else. They're telling you there is none else. Hold on. All right, so let's not get it twisted. All right, there is none else. All right, let's go down. 45 and 21. No, let's go to 45 and 20. All right, and let's put this up in here. Because in all our getting, let us get an understanding. So we're going to get this understanding. All right, so gather yourself and come draw near, you all who have escaped from the nations. No knowledge have they who are lifted up in the wood of their carved images and pray to a mighty one that does not save. A mighty one that does not save. Okay. All right, come on, let's go. Let's copy 45 and 21. All right. So 45 and 21. Let's get some clarification on this. Declare and bring near, let them even take counsel together. Who has announced from of old, who was declared from that time? Is it not I, Jehovah? And there is no mighty ones besides me, a righteous El and Savior. There is none besides me. There it is. There it is. There is none besides. And so basically, here's the thing. So when you see, and this is the thing, and this is the thing I ask y'all to do. This is why I don't try to convert y'all into what I understand, right? Because I understand from looking at things myself, right? And basically, I understand how the commandments are scientific. I understand that. And I got the understanding when I was going through lab school, both in civilian college, when I had to go through it in civilian college, when I was going through nursing class. And I was like, wow, really? All right, hold on, I'm not done. And so when you look at this, when you really, really look at this, right? He is telling you exactly who saves. So that's a wrap. Mic drop. Turn the lights off. Turn down. Yep. It's time to turn the church lights off. 45 and 23, 22. The Most High says, turn to him. By turning to him, he means turn to the commandments. Turn to me and be saved, all you ends of the earth, for I am El, and there is none else. That's right, dear no Jeebus. All these people bowing down to a white man's creation and losing their sanity. And then there was this song that I used to have to play all the time. Every knee shall bow, every tongue confess that Jesus Christ is Lord. That Jesus Christ. And I was like, okay. And then I read Isaiah, and it says this: I have sworn by myself, a word has gone out my mouth in righteousness, and shall not return, so that to me every knee shall bow and every tongue shall swear. Everything that was attributed to the Most High, this was the biggest trick that the Romans did when they created the New Testament. They turned us in on ourselves. And let me give you the big secret about the New Testament. Okay? The New Testament intentionally cedes power to the woman, not the righteous woman, but the unrighteous women. This is how they do it. All right. When we get into it, all right, when we look into it, one of the things that happens is, the reason why people will argue with you over the New Testament so much, because it allows them to forgive themselves for their weakness and for all ills that they do to a person. See, repentance is in the Old Testament. It's not in the New Testament. Old Testament have how you repent. It says if you steal something from somebody, you got to pay it back 7 times. Why? Not only pay back what you stole, but you got to make it right what damage you may have caused as a result of your theft. You see what I mean? And so basically, these people want to come in, believe in the Caucasians' religion, because you don't really have to do anything. You close your eyes, say, Jesus, forgive me. And then all the stuff that you've done to people over your life, it's all forgiven. And all you got to do is apologize. No, it takes work. If you wrong somebody, you got to repay that wrong. Other words, you keep them, you and your wrong to them, keep them in a bad place. Like if I steal your rent money that got you evicted, going to you and just merely saying I'm sorry is not going to please the Most High. Because what did he say? To the least that you do unto my people, that's what I'll do unto you. Okay. Oh, and here's the one that somebody was saying, and this is the problem with the abortion thing here, that everybody is agreeing with, is because this is a society that caters to women and things that they like, or we just live off of mama, right? That says Yahweh, your Redeemer, and he who formed you up from the womb. I am Yahweh, doing all, stretching out of the heavens, all alone, spreading out the earth, with none beside me, with none beside him. There's no Jesus on the right hand, the devil on the left hand. All right, understand this. And so basically, here is the rub. And this is something that people have to figure out that's going to follow just the Bible. All right. One of the things here is this. The Most High is against, and here's the other thing that's sick. A lot of these people, and this is why it's so easy to attack men. You saw an example of it, right? All right, we couldn't have a conversation even on my platform because this person wanted me to cater to their religious beliefs when I know that they're patently false. All right, how do I know that? Because I decided that before I'm gonna just believe something wholeheartedly, I'm gonna start studying it intensely, not just believe what somebody tells me. Well, the preacher says this dude don't even know why he believes that. Somebody told him, and then he starts spouting off things, and then he start going to little things, right? But here's the thing. If I tell you something, then this means that everything else they tried to put in there to mislead us can't be that. So if the Most High said it's only him and he is our only creator and he knew us from the womb and that only he saves, and then I don't care what anybody else writes. You can't say, and this is my thing. This is my thing. Hey, what's up, young boy 24? This is my thing right here. This is my thing. You cannot say you believe the whole Bible. At one point, I thought I believed the whole Bible until I studied it, studied how it was put together. And then I was like, so who wrote all these things? Was it our people or was it some other people? All right. And then come to find out that the people that was oppressing me are the ones that wrote the New Testament. I'm like, interesting. All right. The Old Testament, no matter what monotheistic region you go to, they lined up with the Old Testament. All right. So no matter what monotheist region you go to, they line up with the commandments of the Old Testament. I was like, interesting. So the people that enslaved me did stuff like buck breaking. All right. And remember, Christianity is a Catholic religion. What's the history on this? So y'all know all this. My PayPal me. Oh, don't forget the thumbs up. If you just came here, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. All right. So this is the history of Christianity. Y'all heard of Martin Luther putting his 99 Theses on, nailing it to the church in Germany. We went by there in Germany when I was stationed there. Okay. This was the Protestant Reformation, where they split from the Catholics. Right. And then so all religions that believe in Jesus is the same as the Catholic religion, only they are the Protestant religion of the Catholics. Okay. They protested the Catholics. They split out and they said, we're not going to have priests anymore. We're going to have preachers. We're still going to have Bishop, the Archbishop of Canterbury. All right. We're still going to have bishops, but we're going to have the same form thing. We're going to kind of believe the same thing because after all, we're Catholics at heart. All right. They're going to have communion. We're going to have communion. We're just going to do it different. Instead of have real wine and wafers, we're going to have crackers and grape juice. But it's the same thing. All right. So you had this. Now, I did a whole video. I'm gonna put it up. I'm gonna find it and put it up again. Where all your religions, Presbyterian came from a white man, Baptist came from the Anabaptist, Lutheran came from Luther. Okay, y'all get it? All right, all these were European white men that came up with all of these religions. Church of God in Christ, white man. Apostolics, another white man. None of the religions we follow that is part of the Protestant religion. So that is every other Christian religion that's not Catholic, right? But Catholic is Catholic Christian, and the other is Protestant Christian. But you're all Christian. So you can't say the Catholics aren't the real Christians we are. No, fool. They're the original Christians, and you just bit off a part of their religion, kept it for yourself because you didn't want to be under a pope. You just decided you wanted to be under a preacher. It's still a white man. The more you read the commandments, the more you understand that the Most High wanted you to be independent of men outside of your family. All right. And so how does that work? Each man was counted to his own house unto his father's house. That's how the Most High does things. He don't count the women and children because you are responsible for the women and children. So he understands that when he's telling you to come here, that you're bringing your house. You didn't leave the women and children at home. He counted just the men because the Most High made the men responsible to him, but the women and children are responsible to that man who's the head of, who is the ruler over the house. So he speaks to us, we speak to them. That's how it goes. Period. He speaks to us, we speak to them. Period. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. All right, that's how it's done. All right, so when these people are coming here saying, I studied, if you don't know what the Protestant Reformation is, then you haven't studied. If you really haven't looked at the New Testament and see that it is objectively different from the Old Testament, then you haven't studied. Now, remember the books I told you we had in seminary, that they have in seminary, called hermeneutics, how they try to marry up the things of the Old Testament with the New Testament? That's what he tried to do. But one whole scripture out of the Most High's mouth, from according to the prophets, state that he is the only one, only he saves, and anything else is folly. And he reiterates again that we ain't supposed to be bowing down to other gods, other mighty ones, other sovereigns. Now, again, let's look at other sovereigns. This even goes as deep as other sovereigns. Let's go to 1 Samuel, 8th chapter. All right. And y'all see this, right? And it came to be when Shemuel was old and made his sons ruler over Israel. And the name of his first one, Joel, and the name of his second, Eliah, and Belshira. But his sons did not walk in his ways, and turned aside after their own gain, and took bribes and twisted right rulings. And all the elders of Israel gathered together and came unto Shemuel at Ramah, and said to him, look, you are old, and your sons do not walk in your ways. Now appoint us a sovereign king to rule over us like all the other nations. So we'll start here. This is what they asked for. And this is what doomed Israel. Hey, what's up, David Bowman? This is what doomed Israel. This is what doomed us. This is what dooms us all the time. We always want somebody to rule over us. We always want somebody to fight for us. And we as men need to fight for ourselves, fight for our own families. Then we come together as a group and help each other fight an oppressor that's trying to come after our children. All right. And so what does Samuel say about this? He said that the words were evil, not bad, not stupid, evil. But the word was evil in the eyes of Samuel when they said, "Give us a sovereign to rule us." Someone prayed to Yahiah. Okay. Now listen to what the Most High says. And this is why so many of us are turned inside out on evil, ready to follow all these other religions made up by people, and then we follow their books and stuff. And even the Old Testament, I looked at that and I could see the errors and stuff that they misrepresented in there. Because all these books that I showed y'all that we picked from, and I sent a lot of them to y'all, so y'all know what I'm talking about. So Samuel 8:7, it says, and Ahiah said to Samuel, "Listen to the voice of the people and all that they say to you, for they have not rejected you." I sound like Captain Kirk. They have not rejected you, but they have rejected me from reigning over them. This is what happened to us. All right, we're not rejecting the Most High's prophets. We're saying that we don't want to do stuff for ourselves. We want other people to do stuff for us. So we're not rejecting our prophets. We're rejecting the Most High from ruling over us. Why? Because the Most High wanted us men to be independent of everybody. We don't need no leaders because we are the leaders. At least we're supposed to be. We're supposed to lead our families. We're supposed to lead the woman. If the woman don't want to be led by us, then we leave her alone. When the woman don't want to be led by us, we leave her alone. And that's how that's done. Hold on. What? Hello? Keyway. Nice try. They did that on purpose. They know I'm in Colombia. And I told them that somebody else was signing for me. Right. Yeah. No, I'm saying that the people that wrote that, the shipper. That tells me that's probably fake then. Why would they do that? Would they be able to change how that is delivered if I called them in the morning and take that off, or there's no way to change that? Yeah, and so basically I can't have them switch up that how they put that there, right? Because you have to send that back to them, don't you? Okay, I'm gonna call them tomorrow because I don't know why they would pick that stupid mess in the first place unless they're being shady. I'm gonna call them first thing in the morning. And just for one day. No, just put it on hold enough for me to see if they could change that thing to where it's all right. So if they can't change now, if your person says that they can't change that, right? Like because some of the times the shipper can change how they change that bottom part. You know that it just has to be signed by somebody, right? But yeah, but just see if that's an option for the shipper to change it. Because if UPS says nope, we don't care what the shipper says. Okay, I'll call them first thing in the morning. All right, thanks. All right, so these people, all right, these people being slick. All right, they know I'm in Colombia and had something shipped to someplace, and they said, "Well, I have to be there to get it." So they try to be funny, but anyway, and they put the restriction on. But anyway, and I was trying to see something real quick. Do you hear an echo now? All right. So ah, but anyway, so as we get in here, right? Um, we never had a name for how we worship the Most High. All right, understand this. We as a people never had a name for how we worship the Most High. We just did. We followed the commandments. We were known by our customs. Do you agree? Most people are more comfortable to lie to. Yes, and this is the problem. Creflo about a minute he lied according to the time. People still going to his church. Yes. Remember the pastor that we was talking about? People were still going to his church. That was actively committing adultery, sleeping with another man's wife. And when he came home from school, and then that man was on his way to jail because the wife called the police on him. And the pastor was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and stuff like that. No, he wasn't. He was sorry he got caught. He was laying pipe all up in that man's wife. You know, and they both were members at his church. You see, and this is the church minded. They will argue with people that have the truth or the truth as we know it. And all right. And so this is the thing. And so this is the cadence. When we look at Numbers, he always calls the men and the men only. Why? And the reason why they love the church so much, because church give power to the women, right? Or authority. It don't even give women power. It gives women authority over the men, but it don't give them authority over the men. Because what happened, the men just simply leave them alone. Yeah, the rapture doctrine is the biggest hoax. And rapture isn't even in the Bible. All right. It's something, again, that religion people made up, got people talking about stuff. And if you read and follow the commandments, right? If you notice, most of the people that don't follow Christianity end up being blessed. Because, again, let's go back to Samuel. Where were we at? The Most High said, they have not rejected you, they have rejected me. Right? And now listen to this. And then the Most High said, warn them though. Warn them about the crap they're about to get themselves into. Okay? So the Most High says, so according to their works, which they have done since the day I brought them out of Mizraim, even to this day, Mizraim, for those of you who don't know, that's Egypt. That's what it was called long before this. And if Brother Dwight was here, he would tell you he hangs out over there, and they still call it Mizraim and call the Egyptians Mizrites. Right? All right, they've been forsaking me and serving other mighty ones, right? All right, doing it to you too. Now listen to their voices, but you shall certainly warn them and shall make it known to them the ruling of a sovereign who does rule over them. Okay, and so here's the thing. So this is how it works. If a woman cannot follow your leadership, we leave them alone. I do. And then when I find one that looks like she'll follow my leadership, then that's the one I get. I'm working on that now. All right. That's how it's supposed to be. And then when you follow, because here's the thing. If one sees that you can lead. Now, here's the thing. This is Solomon, Samuel giving them the hereto, what for, and what's going to happen. Right? And this is what people don't get. This is why we're not supposed to have sovereigns. This is the ruling of the sovereign who does reign over you. He shall take your sons and appoint them for his own chariots, horsemen, and shall run before the and he shall run before the chariot. Right. And that's why when you bring up these books, the first thing that somebody who is weak and don't want to know the truth, this is why the first thing they do, it says, well, I don't read those books because they were changed. Then when you point out to them the history of how the canon was changed, they don't want to hear that either because they believe in the new thing that their preacher told them to read, and they're not going to go into the history again. Hosea, it says, my people perish for lack of knowledge, not because they lack knowledge, but because they reject it. So, of course, they're going to reject these books that tell you that the New Testament is BS, that Enoch, and everybody is starting to come to find out that a lot of things is in Enoch is being dug up in ground somewhere. Through archaeology. So the giants that Enoch speaks of. All right, y'all seen the bones? All right. Here's the thing. This shows you what happened and why and did. This is the breakdown. And this is why so many so-called black people are in bad shape. You can't tell them nothing. You can't teach them nothing. Because if you're not somebody they like, you know, as a popular person, they ain't trying to hear you. Bottom line. Yeah, exactly. All right. All right, this is what happened. However, the people refused to listen to the voice of Shemuel and said, "No, but let the sovereign be over us." All right, then we shall be like all the other nations, and our sovereign shall rule and go out before us and fight our battles. You see why they wanted the sovereign to rule? And Shemuel heard the words of the people, and he repeated them in hearing of one. And Yahweh said to Shemuel, "Listen to their voice and make them a sovereign." And Samuel said to the men of Israel, "Each go to his city." The men effed this up. And then effed this up, the women ended up effed up. Bottom line. All right. So now we get back to, now let's go back to this. Okay. Now, if we go back to this, right? In all of this, in all of this, you see an overarching development. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. In all of this, you see an overarching thing. In all of this, you see an overarching thing. Yes, right? You see an overarching thing. And this is how this worked. From the religion that was given to us by the slave masters, the white people, it is so hard for some people to leave it alone. And I'm not saying you have to, hey, what's up, Frankie? All right. And I'm not even saying that you have to leave everything alone. I'm saying each man is responsible to go study these things for himself. But what we should know, hands down, without a shadow of a doubt, the crap that they taught us was had nothing more to do but to make us weak. All right. And if we believe in a superior being, then we have to understand that those commandments are just. All right. And it is good guidelines and laws for us to live by. Right. And then if we are going to be in our man strength, being guided by this commandments, then we can have a good group together, group of brothers. Right? Because there is no wiggle room to do evil against another brother in the commandments like there is in the New Testament. The New Testament, you could treat people like dirt so long as you give your life to Jesus before you die. And then people think that the Most High approves of that. Right? No. There's one other thing too. I'll bring it up. In scripture, it says no man can die for the sins of his son, and no son can die for the sins of his father. A son shall not be held accountable for the sins of his father, and a father shall not be held accountable for the sins of his son. Each man shall be judged according to his own goodness or evil doing. All right. And so basically, when we start breaking this stuff down, all right, this is the attack on Afro men, but the attack is not on all Afro men because they got the weak ones already. They're using the weak ones to come in and attack a strong ones that are not going to toe the line that was given to us by the slave master. And Christianity would be one of them. Now, do a lot of us read the commandments and go by them? Yes. Some of the people even get something out of the New Testament. Okay. But the bottom line is they go by the commandments. Right? And they like, okay, the New Testament is a good book, got some good stuff in it, got some good beatitudes. Okay, feel you. All right. But this is what they're pushing to the daughters. This right here. This is the image that no black woman should want to represent her. These are images that no black woman should want to represent her. In every DC iteration, how many of you paid attention to Wonder Woman? I want y'all to think about that for a minute. Let me ask you this question. When you paid attention to Wonder Woman and all the rest of them, Wonder Woman is super powerful and stuff like that, right? She's super powerful. She's this and stuff. Do Wonder Woman ever get in love with a man? Think about it. Wonder Woman was in love with Steve Trevor, a regular white man, not a superpower being. She was only after he died because he's mortal. Steve Trevor never bowed down to Wonder Woman. The mortal man never bowed down to Wonder Woman. Batman don't bow down to Wonder Woman. Batman had a relationship with Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman respects Batman's authority, even though she's way many times stronger than him. She got magic sword, a magic seal, magic bracelets. Oh, she OP as F. And yet you don't see any iteration where Batman bows down to Wonder Woman. I want y'all to let that sink in for a second. In no iteration of any comic book, any story, did you ever have a mortal that Wonder Woman loved that bowed down to them? With these sellouts in Hollywood that's writing this stuff for Afro people, I want y'all to think about it. They did this, had a group of women beat dudes, when in actuality, these women, the Dahomey, they never beat the French. The French admired them from being able to kill some of their men, but they never beat them. They said, we're taking your behind over, we're taking your land, and yeah, and we're still going to do the slave trade. You see what I mean? Still going to do that slave trade thing. But yeah, y'all fought all right. Wasn't good enough. You lost every battle and you lost the war too. All right. And so here's the thing. Here's the thing. A lot of people don't like the truth. All right. They don't like these other books. They don't like to study. When they say they studied the Bible, they take one scripture and then they study on how to make it fit their narrative, because they're not really interested in knowing anything. Period. And because you can't change their mind, they can never grow. And they stay a child. They never grow and they stay a child. Understand this. They stay a child because they don't want to grow. They are comfy in their ignorance. Bottom line. Wonder Woman was trying to get a brother to go together. Like a G. And that's another point. Let's take a look at all the Marvel characters that are white, all the DC female characters that are white. Take a look at Rogue, fine as all get out. You don't have you do not have masculine looking women running around Rogue like Gambit. Right now, and I want y'all to understand something. Oh, yes, that's what this is doing. I want y'all to understand something. Also, in the movie Black Panther, this is the wife that got a spear, letting her husband know that she would kill him over the throne. Oh, yes, she would have. That's Wonder Woman. A woman from Themyscira, not from the Black Hood. If you reverse that and say if she was black, given what we know today, chances are that she would not submit it to them if they were. But if Batman was an Afro man, if Steve was an Afro man, Wonder Woman still would have submitted to them, because that is her nature. That's who she loved. So she submits to who she loved. Everyone can catch these hands. Everyone else can catch these hands or bracelets. You see what I mean? All right. Only in so-called black literature do you have a so-called wife telling a husband, I will kill you over this monarchy. Hollywood has been full of propaganda to disparage the relationship of Afro men and women. And the women bought into it, even though the Afro men were still trying to show them love. The women bought into it. Oh, we powerful. We don't need no man. All right. These women want to be women that participated in the slave trade and actually profited from it. All right. These are renditions, artist renditions of these women. And they have guns. So, of course, they're formidable if they have guns. They made all kinds of shows about them, but hid the real truth of what these women were doing. They made all kinds of shows about them, but hid the real truth of what these women were doing. And all you got these women here that think that they could take down the army. Let them go fight the Russians and see how well that works. Yeah, let them fight the Russians and see how to wear that one. I mean, the French can't even fight the Russians, and the French whooped them. Because the continent of Africa didn't stand together the way the white people stood together to take them over, they got them piece by piece by piece. You know how they got them? Because the greed of the Africans, because of other African nations not understanding that, you know what? You keep this up, you're doomed. Right? They didn't understand this. Yeah. And so that's the thing. This is the biggest lie. This is the biggest scam ever told. That you can do anything you want and you have grace. And what grace is you can do whatever you want so long as you pray to Jesus before you die. That's a grace period. Like I have grace credit period on my credit card. I have the time in which I spend and that bill come out, and then I have a grace period to pay off what I owe before it the interest is added. If I go one day after that interest, all that interest starts coming on here. If I don't make a payment at all, my credit takes a hit. You see what I mean? And so basically, and that's how their little sin thing works. Well, we are under this dispensation of grace. Thank God for grace. I slept with that woman, and yes, she was married to the man. And because I committed adultery, instead of me being punished, the husband that was doing right, who came home because his son was sick, and they tried to call the mom, but she couldn't answer the phone because she was busy getting pipe laid on her by pastor. So they had to call the husband. And because he had to take care of his son, he has to go to jail. Why? Because he's upset that the pastor was shebang-banging his wife. This is the evil of this country, these preachers and these wives. And that's why you leave the church alone. Hell, I was a preacher and I left it alone. And even when I was preaching, there was stuff I didn't preach because I was like, wait a minute, this is wrong. Hey, what's up, K-Dot? And we would call these women fools because the egg don't move. It's the sperm that swims to the egg, but they want to fit. But I don't even get in arguments with women like that. They're idiots. And the truth isn't in them. The truth is not in them at all. All right. And so this is ridiculous. Yeah, only in certain things, right? And out of ignorance, women were seen in such high regards, but the women should be seen in high regards for being able to carry a child to term. And so that's the value of the woman. The value of the woman is her nurturing a child and carrying it to term. Not as the creator, because the man is the creator of the child, right? Because he creates the seed in his loins. But the value of the woman is to get a woman healthy enough that she's able to carry that child to term. That she takes care of herself, that she is fertile soil. right? And that's the value of the woman. So the woman does have value, intrinsic value, value that you can't do without. But let's not switch and say that she's something that she's not. Oh, he was laying hands and pipe. All right. That's the intrinsic value of the woman. Her ability to carry that child to term, to nourish it so that that child comes out healthy. So we create them, she nurtures it and delivers them. All right. And so, and the Most High made it that way so that we would need each other. Yeah, so that she could bring the baby to term, not to termination like they do in today's world. All right. All right. And so basically this is what we have here, right? And so in all of this, right? In all of this, when you now, here's the other thing though. After she brings that child to term, she is in a weakened condition, and then that's when the man steps back in. It is our job now to protect that child and that woman as the child is nurtured and weaned and stuff like that, right? And so now we prepare a place, right? So we prepare this place, and now we're the protector. Because at this point, especially back then and even now, without us, they barely would survive. All right. Now I'm putting this up. If anyone want to dart in real quick, because, been gone for a minute. I've been going for a minute. Okay. So basically, when we look at all of this, you got on one hand a group of women who lost against the French, but in Hollywood, these are women that can be a high-powered, highly motivated group of men. All right. And when you look at the actresses, right, and it's just straight Hollywood. No. When the men and women have the same exact training, the women are going to lose. The Army has shown this over and over again. I showed you so many times, like, we are trained in combatives, right? And the women have a chance to win until they lock hands. Oh, wow. That is combatives. They have no chance of winning. When you put a man and woman equal weight together, the man is just going to just plow through her and overpower her. Like you've been seeing in the MMA when the transgenders get in there and start breaking people's jaws. But that ain't fair. Well, Hollywood's been telling you you're just as strong as a man. I guess these transgenders are telling y'all, no, that's not true. All right. So when you get this understanding, when you understand this for real, all right, you will come to find out that if these black women keep going down this same path, they are going to be in a world of hurt. If these Christians keep going down this same path and refuse to learn, all right, and refuse to learn, all right, then they are going to be in the world of hurt. Because they refuse to learn. All right. And people don't understand Hosea. All right. My people perish because they have rejected knowledge. And here's that whole thing. So y'all have some understanding. And all they're getting understanding. All right, let's get some understanding up in here. This is Hosea 4 and 6. My people have perished for lack of knowledge because you have rejected knowledge. So that's why they're perishing. I reject you from being priest to me. Since you have forgotten the Torah, your Elohim also forgets your children. All right, period. All right, this is what it says. It isn't that they reject knowledge. Anytime something comes up to enhance what they think they know, hold on for a second. Okay, Hosea go hard in the paint, right? But when we look at this, right? We oftentimes get caught up in a level of weakness, right? We get caught up in a level of weakness because we want other people to do stuff for us, right? And we're men. We're not. That's not supposed to be that way. All right. The Most High gave us dominion, not the women. He told us to rule over the woman. And let me get that real quick. Let me get that real quick. The Most High in Genesis chapter 3, 16. And he didn't tell us, he told the woman. All right. So let's get this understanding. To the woman, he said this. Because remember, the woman slept with the serpent. Genesis 3:16, to the woman, he said, I greatly increase your sorrow and your conception, bring forth children in pain, and the desire is for your husband. And remember, it says the desire is for the man, and he does rule over you. He ain't the head, he's the ruler over you. Why? Because it is his job to provide. That's the difference between the ruler and the head of something. The ruler is responsible for the people. The head is responsible for the company. Basically, if I choose a woman and she chooses to be with me, if I rule over her, all right, my heart is going to be to make sure that she is taken care of, that she has guidance, that we have a plan, this, that, and the other. And the plan is going to cover us as human beings. Now, if I'm the head of the house, then my duty is to the house. Not to her, to the house. So if I want to take her money and for the house and build the house up, that's like a corporation, right? But if I'm the head over her, I take all of our money and put it together so that Things and provisions are there so that we're all comfortable. And that's the difference, right? That's what people don't understand. All right. So with that said, I'm going to be out because I've been on here for 3 hours. All right. I'm out. Peace, love, and soul to everybody. Sorry about that other dude. I was trying to give him a chance to just be polite, and like one of these, like these feminine-minded Christians, once you touch that button, they're going to disrespect your spot, because even though they don't have data, they don't have information, there's feelings. They think their feelings outweigh data and facts. Period. That's another reason I left the church alone, because you couldn't teach anybody anything because they did not want to learn. And that was a big problem with me. All right. If I'm showing you all this data, I'm giving you what the preachers get in seminary. The preachers are lying to people. They're lying to people because it gets them paid. Think about it. It's the only thing where you can lie to people and they'll buy you a helicopter or a jet. And then other people will be okay and defend the lies. Right? And that's our problem. We have gotten so lazy. We have gotten so lazy as a people. We don't even want to study for ourselves to find out what works for us and what doesn't. Christianity don't work for us. And like I told them before, Christianity was spread by the sword or the gun. White people went into these lands and said, you will be Christians or else die. The Inquisition, Christianity or death. Oh, no. Torture before you died. Hey, what's up, Dave Fitzgerald? All right. Tortured before you died. That's how Christianity was spread. Most of us were slaves, and that's why we're Christians. Our families were. The ones that were here on Turtle Island already, and the ones that were brought over here from the continent of Kemet and Mistral. All right, period. Anybody remember what Africa was called before white people got there? What was the name of Africa before the Europeans named it?
Alkebulan. According to World Atlas, according to experts that research the history of the African continent, the original ancient name of Africa was Alkebulan. This name translates to Mother of Mankind or the Garden of Eden.
Oh, Alkebulan. Alkebulan was the original name of Africa before white people got there. It translates into the Garden of Eden. How many was able to hear that? This was the original name, and that Y does not belong there. Oh, yeah, there's my Cash App, everybody. And for you new people, yeah, we would like donations, but you always take care of yourself and family first before you donate to anyone. But we can use the donations if you got an abundance. If you have an abundance, if you hit the lottery, y'all want to help a brother out, it'll be welcome. All right, so Alkebulan, that's how you spell it. That was the original name of Africa before the Europeans got there and called it Africa. All right, so whoop, there it is. There you have it. So with that said, I bid you all adieu. I'm a winding down, and it's time to roll out. I should have been packing up my room because I'm moving to another room. All right. So again, like the data for this video and all the rest of the stuff is in the description box. And y'all saw the links. So pay attention to that. And thank you all for stopping by. We had a lot more until we got into that spat. But, you know, that's all right. Some of y'all came back. But thank you very much for sticking with me. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Click the thumbs up button if you haven't already. And if you subscribe, make sure you're still subscribed, because you know what they like to do. All right. So with that said, Bodos can eat not what I can chew. What I can chew, I'm out. And we're through. Peace, y'all. Love and soul.